2 years ago, we did a trip right the way down the Thames all the way to Putney. It's about 140 miles the trip we did, and it was absolutely loads of fun. When you start at Crick Lane, the river's barely big enough even for a tiny boat like our canoe. When you get to Putney, it was a different matter. The river is big and wide, a little bit scary, and it was a brilliant trip, but we want to do the rest of it. If you look at maps of the Thames, they quite often make it look like the river finishes in London, but it doesn't. It goes all the way out to the sea, with the usual end being somewhere between Southend and Sheerness. So we realised we had another 80 miles to go. There's the bikes.
Sunday church bells. Are you filming?
Yeah. So the end of our canoe trip. The end of our canoe trip. Right there. Right there, that's what we paddled under, although the tide is up. And now we're cycling.
Well, no, now we're having breakfast.
Oh, now we're having breakfast.
Which is going to take at least an hour.
But we're going to cycle the rest of the Thames because paddling it is too scary.
Too dangerous.
And this is the route we're looking to get. Basically, stick to as close as we can to the south bank of the river the whole way. Our aim is to get to Gravesend by the end of day one. So we set off. It was a nice sunny Sunday morning. There were plenty of people about. The way we go, if you stick by the river in London, it's not really a cycle path, and there are parts where you're not allowed to cycle. Most of it you are allowed to cycle, but you need to be careful. There are lots of people about, and it was lovely. I was quite surprised at how much pathway there is by the south bank of the river. I used to do a lot of running around here, and back then there was nothing like as much river path as there is now, and it was just great. There are a few bits like this in Battersea Park that you can see here where we had to move a little bit away from the river and take the main road, but otherwise you just use your brains and try not to run anyone over. Right.
Could go wrong. It did go wrong. Now I've got a wet foot.
Oh well.
That's your fault. Why didn't you tell me not to?
We have actually both separately been up this stretch of river in unpowered boats. Alex has coxed a Cambridge crew right the way up to the Houses of Parliament. I'm not quite sure why they were doing that. And I've paddled up here in a racing kayak as part of the Devizes to Westminster race. But to be honest, it's much easier on a bike. There's the London Eye there. Obviously it gets really crowded at parts, and you just weave your way through. Everybody was nice and cheerful and patient, and it worked. There we go. Walky bit.
Walky bit.
And I used to cycle every single day up this bit, but every time I come here these days, the skyline has changed a bit. It's astonishing how quickly it changes. Some quite cool beach action going on when we went past here as well, with a guy building a really quite splendid sandcastle. And then past the Tate Modern, and then the Golden Hind. I've included the Golden Hind because my uncle Francis once sailed this very ship across the Atlantic in a storm that turned out to be the perfect storm. And then under the tunnel under London Bridge and into the East End. You really can't cycle much between here and Tower Bridge, but it was okay. But obviously once you're through Tower Bridge, it does get easier, far less crowds, and generally paths right by the river, or through these rather cute little alleyways with some nice pubs along the way too. Oh, Mayflower. And it doesn't take long for Canary Wharf to start coming into sight, and once we got to this bit, it was pretty soon by some really majestic sweeps of the Thames, with paths that are either right next to the river, or you have to go on the road slightly inland, and then you can duck on to little stretches of pathway like this. There were a couple of cul-de-sacs where it's private land and that kind of thing, but not many. You know, we managed not to get too lost. We even had to clamber over a lock gate at Greenland Lock. And Alex tried to climb on this cannon and slipped off, which sadly I didn't manage to film. And then coming towards Greenwich now, this was the Dog and Bell, easily the prettiest pub we came past. Look at that floral display. Gosh, we didn't stop at that one, but one I'd quite like to go back to one of these days.
That was amazing.
And then into Greenwich and lunch at our second Wetherspoons of the day. And then around Greenwich, around past the magnificent Cutty Sark, along this rather slow path past the front of the Naval College. You can actually cycle through the Naval College, which would have been easier. Then to the Trafalgar Inn at the other end, where I don't know if there was a party going on here or whether it always looks like this, but that was fun. And then luckily back onto some rather quieter streets and some magnificent industrial heritage. So around the Millennium Dome, if it's still called that. I suppose it's called the O2 now, isn't it? The cycle path around there was absolutely great. It was nice and wide and big. We just had to push our way through crowds going to an Ariana Grande concert, which was kind of fun anyway. And then that loops back down and eventually to the Greenwich Barrier. I've never really seen the Greenwich Barrier up close before. It was really magnificent and well worth a stop. And then after that, the footpaths got much easier, and we put our foot down a bit because although our trip through London had been loads of fun, we needed to get some miles under our belt now. That was easy here. It's lovely wide footpaths, nobody really about, not too much of a wind just yet, and plenty of things to see as we go by.
What's that, Erith Pier?
I don't know, but it's beautiful. Look at this one, look.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Like an old skeleton.
And at this point, you have to veer away from the river, which involved going on this rather unlovely dual carriageway and slightly more lovely industrial estates until you head back towards the river and then under the QE2 bridge. That's the QE2 bridge there. So we're going under the M25, finally out of Greater London. This is us in Greenhive a couple of miles further on, with one of the locals pointing out some of the things to see, and quite a nice little pub. We're getting pretty weary by this point. These last few miles, bit of a headwind, some of the paths quite nice, some of them are quite rough, getting quite tired, but lovely evening sun and some good cycling too.
This is cool.
Welcome to Gravesend.
Oh, that would be a challenging paddle. Look at the tide coming back in.
It's starting to not look like a river, isn't it?
No, it's still a river.
Right, go on then, lead on.
Are we on?
Yeah.
Woohoo!
And then into Gravesend. We've never been to Gravesend before either. This is our pub, the Jolly Drayman, nice little hotel. Good shower, went out for a really good curry, and I don't remember much after that. I must have collapsed to sleep quite quickly. The landlady let us keep our bikes in the dining room as well, which was quite handy. This is us the next morning. This is our route for today. We need to go away from the Thames, actually, down around the Medway estuary.
Go on.
But first, some mucking around exploring Gravesend, which was quite fun. And, of course, another Wetherspoons.
Oh, this is pretty.
It is, isn't it? Down there.
Yeah.
Oh, you can see the river. No, it's all right. Go on.
But we never get you.
Go on. That's never going to work. Oh, yeah, she's made it.
And the rather poignant statue of Pocahontas, who is buried in the church here. I had the song Colours of the Wind stuck in my head for the whole of the rest of the day.
And off we go. Last bit.
It is the very last bit.
Yeah, it is. It's taken us 2 years. Yeah. I love Helter Skelters.
I love those. Do you ever burn your elbow?
Yeah, of course. Well, that's all part of the fun. That's quite a cycle path, isn't it?
It is. Should
Go
we
on.
Go first?
No?
Yeah, I've got my lights on.
Yeah, that's lucky.
So this is National Cycle Route 1. We followed the Thames and Medway Canal for a bit, and then we headed through some small villages and pretty agricultural fields across country toward Medway Estuary and Rochester. This is the terrifying hill down into Rochester. There's quite a view over there though, which includes for some reason a Soviet submarine which is just moored in the middle of the river. This is the splendid railway and road bridge over into Rochester, and this is Rochester itself, which was absolutely great. A really good castle, a really good cathedral, and a very welcome iced frappe from Costa. And then we headed over to Chatham and another Wetherspoons, this time for lunch, the Thomas Waghorn in Chatham. Then up through the naval yards of Chatham, which includes this building ahead here, which is called the Ropery, once the world's largest factory. It's where they used to make ropes for the British Navy. And then through Gillingham, it starts getting really pretty. Basically, the path all the way along the estuary here, which took us pretty much all the way to the Isle of Sheppey, really made us want to have a look at the rest of the UK coastal path. It was just lovely. Some pretty little villages as well, some nice quiet country roads, a couple of nice pubs, and that's getting us towards Sheppey. When we got towards the Isle of Sheppey, we started getting a bit worried because we could see this enormous road bridge in the distance. And we're expecting to have to climb all the way up and over it, surrounded by lorries and fast-moving traffic. Luckily, we didn't have to. There's this little lift bridge here, which takes the old road that you can see here and the railway over the waters onto the island. Anyway, we finally made it to Sheppey. And then up to Sheerness. We had a look at the sea, we bought some provisions for the train journey home, and what a great trip that was.
Doesn't look like the Thames here, does it? It does look like the sea.
At the end of the Thames.
That tiny little stream in Cricklade that we just about put our canoe into.
We had a saw to chop down all the branches.
Now looks like this. Right, should we go back again? Oh, I meant to Cricklade.
Oh.
Not just yet. It's probably harder paddling as well, isn't it? And it's uphill.
Yeah, but there'd be a hell of a tailwind.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, that's pretty. Look at that. Hey.